What's going on, y'all? It's the Kid J Nolan here. I've been putting off doing this video for a minute because I needed to get a little bit more info, had to get some more research, get some articles. But I want to cover some things today talking about the hip hop industry and the music industry as a whole, okay? Now, I know everybody's probably seen headlines about Lil Baby canceling concerts. Lil Durk just canceled the rest of his tour. People are talking about how they're suffering, struggling to sell out arenas, and that information is pretty much true, but there's a little bit of additional context, and you know I'm big on context on this channel. And in order to really get into it, we got to talk about the industry as a whole. I think that some of the business models are starting to implode in front of us, which ultimately ends up making the artists look bad because that's who we're watching on a daily basis. These are the people that have the emotional connection with the people. We don't really know the executives. We don't care about the executives. We see some of them because they want to be like Diddy, Jay-Z, etc. But for the most part, we're not really worried about them. And unfortunately, it's because we're not worried about them that they get to basically live in anonymity and call the shots. When things go great, they get to take the credit. When things go bad, they get to blame the artist and they get to sit back, get another check. If they get fired from a company or if they decide to leave a company, they go to another company, do a terrible job and continue to get checks. So a lot of people out here are really just trying to run on autopilot until the turbulence starts, and then they're doing their best to jump off before the crash. If we're just looking at the scope of Lil Baby and Lil Durk canceling shows, then of course it looks bad, right? But over the course of the past 2 to 3 years, there's been a multitude of artists that have made the same moves for similar reasons, but there's a lot more that goes into it. There's also been information circulating talking about how there hasn't been a #1 hip hop album all year, right? As far as the charts, I just told y'all recently we got to stop worrying about the charts, but I do think that there is a little bit of indication coming from the charts that can be paid attention to. And with that, I want to talk about some of the most streamed music that's actually circulating in 2023. I saw this chart the other day and I thought it was very interesting because a lot of the music that people are listening to the most right now is not music that's being released this year. When you look at things from a nutshell, from a micro point of view, and you're only hyper focused on 1 or 2 pieces of the puzzle, things can look a little funny. But when you zoom out and get the macro, and you start looking at the entire landscape, you start looking at the entire globe, the entire map, you can start figuring out the trends. You can start figuring out where things are going backwards. You can figure out where spending habits are happening. And that's where the real answers are. So first up, let's look at Lil Baby. His tour is Only Us. He originally booked 32 stops. Then right before the tour launched, he took 10 dates off of the lineup. That is a lot of dates. He basically took 30% of his tour right off. That's a lot. I've seen people complaining about the lineup. You know, it's Lil Baby, The Kid Laroi, Glorilla, Gloss Up, Rallo Rodriguez, Huncho. Maybe these are not the correct artists to put on an arena tour. I thought Glorilla was going to be a bigger draw, right? Gloss Up, she's signed to QC. They're trying to get her out there. She's probably going to be an opening act anyway. So, yeah. The Kid Laroi is very popular, very famous. I thought people really loved his music, but his buzz hasn't been as big over the course of the last year. Ever since that fallout with Bieber, Scooter Braun and them, it kind of seems like he took a little bit of a nosedive. He left Lil Bibby, you know what I'm saying? But he's still successful. You would think he still had a draw. Now let's look at the dates that actually got canceled, okay? So they actually took off Phoenix, San Diego, Las Vegas, Sacramento, Salt Lake City, Denver, Minneapolis, Pittsburgh, Indianapolis, and Louisville. So right off the bat, when you start getting into this, you see Phoenix, San Diego, Vegas, Sacramento, Salt Lake City, Denver. That's West Coast. That's going to show you there's a disconnect there with the music. They're not bumping this stuff nearly as much as you think. Then the other dates are more so Midwest. You have Minneapolis, Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is in the, you know, East Coast, but Indianapolis, Louisville, that's where you get into the Midwest. They're not bumping this stuff nearly as much because they have their own stars. And I think music is getting more segmented into regionality, right? So Atlanta artists are kind of catering to Atlanta, Florida, Texas, the Carolinas, up to the Virginias. The East Coast is also by default, right? Because everybody on this side of the map is kind of following the same structure. Then when you look out into the rest of the world, Other regions are starting to develop their own genres. For a minute, the Detroit artists were making just traditional trap music. They kind of adapted and created their own drill style. They created their offbeat flow. They created more of a comedic style of rapping. So they're not really trying to tap in with these artists from other places. They're trying to figure out how to blow up their own space, right? Out on the West Coast, Phoenix, they have their own list of celebrities and top acts. San Diego, Sacramento, that's all through California. We all know that California itself has its own ecosystem, from the Bay down to LA. Sacramento artists have their own ecosystem. So again, everything is becoming more regional. Back in 2010, 2012, 2015, you know, everybody adapted to the Migos flow. Everybody adapted to the Migos sound and just tried to create their own variation of that. We're now going into the point where hip hop is going to have to reinvent itself once again. The transition from the 90s to the 2000s was a thing. The transition from the 2000s to the 2010s is a thing. And we're now in 2023, so we can't keep recreating the same stuff that was working 5 to 8 years ago. The artists that are really seeing the higher trajectory, most of them are making pop music. When you look at Lotto, her most successful records are Big Energy, Lottery. That's that pop Dr. Luke sound, right? Nicki Minaj, Super Freaky Girl, also produced by Dr. Luke. When we look at Doja Cat, her biggest records, who are they produced by? The pop producer, Dr. Luke. Those are the big hit records that are going to get you to fill up an arena on a tour, because now you're getting more mainstream people, which are not the same skin color as I am. I'm going to tell you that much. You're going to want to reach more Hispanic people. You're going to want to reach more white people, more diverse crowds. We can't just keep making the same shit for the clubs. Keep making club music, you're going to keep performing in clubs or venues that aren't much larger than them. It's just the way it is. Earlier this year, Jermaine Dupri made the point. He said that Atlanta needs a global artist, right? He said it himself and was criticized for it, but this is something we definitely need to look into. Of course, in all of these markets, even where the shows were canceled, there is an audience of people. However, the shows were not selling out. And we're in this age now where if you're not selling out, it's almost not even worth showing up, right? You're going to make your money. You're going to do that, but it's going to be harder for you to go back to the city the next time around. The promoter is going to start second guessing you. So anything less than a complete success, it's not really a good badge of honor. When you're an upcoming artist and you're experiencing this stuff for the first time, it's a little bit different because you're growing. But if you're somewhat established, you've been, you know, in the conversation for 5, 6 years, a few years, they're going to be looking at you like, damn, why is this not translating? In the situation with Lil Baby, there was no concrete explanation as to why he canceled the shows. They just chopped them off. But of course, like I said, people understood that they weren't selling. Then we have Lil Durk with his Sorry for the Drought tour, right? He completely canceled the rest of the tour, citing exhaustion, dehydration, health reasons. Honestly, I don't know Lil Durk's health condition. Probably not drinking a lot of water, probably not really eating that well out on tour, and that does take a toll on your body. I don't think that he's lying about that, but I do think that they're playing up that side of it to go ahead and just stop. Cut it off cold turkey. Shows ain't selling out the way we want to. Everything's not going well. Durk's not feeling great. Let's just go ahead and cut the head off now. He cut off 5 festival performances. He even cut off Rolling Loud, which was going to pay him $750,000 to be on stage. So again, I do think that the health reasons are valid. But at the end of the day, in order to make these moves, if this was all a part of his initial tour setup, going to these different places, it was all going to be in alignment. It was going to be structured to go from place to place to end up at these festivals. So when you cut off the rest of the dates, it's like, shit, I'm not going to make all this other money, which is going to cost us money to get to the location. Going to be transporting team, all of the ancillary people, road managers, all of the people helping with the stage and all of this stuff. Artists typically have their own squad of folks that handle specific things for them. These people got to be paid. They have to be fed. They need to be staying in hotels. They need travel. They need planes. All of this different stuff, right? So there's a lot of money that's going in. And if you're not getting it all back like you anticipated, you can't really function the same way. You're going to end up being in the red, even though you're making hella money just to be out on the road. But even in the midst of that, he's still going to be performing in Chicago, right? So he's not too unhealthy to where he can't show up for that. But being that he is citing dehydration and exhaustion, it's very imperative that we go into why some of these other artists in other genres have also made similar moves, because this is actually more in line with what's really happening behind the scenes. Just last year, Santa Gold, who's a big act, who's out in a different international market. She does a lot of other stuff. She's not in hip hop. She put out a long statement to social media announcing the cancellation of her tour. She said, as a touring musician, I don't think anyone anticipated the new reality that awaited us after the pandemic. Skyrocketing cost of gas, flights, hotels, a flooded market of delayed tours, leading to overbooked venues, audiences, the risk of infection, general exhaustion, poor mental health. These are all things that she talked about approximately 8 months ago. In hip hop, we do the fast life thing. We try to get the money as quick as we can. Now it's starting to permeate on our side because it's not a model that we can keep up. After the pandemic, everybody wanted to book as many shows as humanly possible to try to get back the money that they missed. We've been doing this for a couple years now. Everybody's starting to get worn out. Fans are starting to get worn out. They're not buying tickets. People are going through hella shit with their own finances. Inflation is going up. The cost of living is going up. People's salaries are not going up. So where's the disposable income that I'm supposed to be paying $100, $200 to come see somebody just stand up on stage and scream? In October, a group called Animal Collective, they canceled their UK and Europe tour, pointing to an economic reality that simply does not work. What does that sound like? October also, Sampa the Great. It's an independent artist that's getting a lot of major love. She had to reschedule her entire tour out in Europe, citing exhaustion, financial risks. A few days earlier, a band called The Avalanches canceled their remaining North American tours due to serious illness. You don't know who these people are? Okay, cool. UK rapper Stormzy took away his Australia and New Zealand tour. A full 3 years after the announcement. People waited 3 years for him to come, and he still canceled it. Justin Bieber postponed his world tour. We saw his eye was damn near falling out. He had to take some time. Alternative rock group Gang of Youth, frontman from their group says, I'm getting to the point where the stress of travel, illness, and feeling constantly hampered by injuries and physical shit sustained on the road is taking a significant toll on my well-being overall. Getting up there performing for an hour, 2 hours, jumping around, screaming. You know how many people have lost their voices, had to get vocal surgery over the last few years because we're not being taught how to properly perform in front of thousands of people? A lot of artists are still screaming instead of coming from the diaphragm, having a controlled way of performing their songs. Vocal techniques, the recipes are being lost out here. The amount of strenuous work, you gotta talk. You're really not supposed to be talking leading up to shows. They also state, festivals, they're not immune to soaring costs, staffing issues, low consumer confidence. Some of these festivals are not selling out, right? Not to mention the destruction brought by climate change over the past few years. People are going to these outdoor festivals, getting rained the fuck on, right? Not even able to have a good time, wearing rain suits because it's muddy outside. Who wants to have that experience? That's not going to make you want to go back. Then there's the gigantic elephant in the room, right? You got Ticketmaster, Live Nation, these big companies taxing the fuck out of people trying to get $50, $75, $100 tickets. And by the time you actually get to the final checkout, your shit done 2x, 3x. Now your ticket is $200, $300, $400. Again, much more than what you bargained for, much more than what you originally were looking at when you tried to get it. So much so that Joe Biden had to put out some statements and is putting out investigations to make sure that this thing gets rectified because people are literally being taken advantage of. The price gouging is outrageous. You don't think that affects sales at a show? And I still got more artists that cancel. Morgan Wallen, right? 29-year-old country artist. He announced on Instagram not too long ago, he postponed 6 weeks of his tour because he got bad news from the Vanderbilt Voice Center, right? They basically had bad news about his voice. He was either going to keep pressing it, had to get surgery, possibly never sing again, or take some time, recover his voice, and then get back out there, and more than likely going to have to go through the same shit again. Rock superstar Ozzy Osbourne completely canceled his entire 2023 plans to tour. He suffered a spinal injury from a fall on tour 4 years ago. Unfortunately, to this day, it's preventing him from going back out there. Now, he is 74 years old, but that just goes to show you the wear and tear that gets put on the body of an artist long term. We all want to be able to do this for a lifetime, but some people don't have no other choices. They were not great business people. They didn't make great financial decisions when they were in position to make it. So now they're stuck. So again, when we hear these stories, and we're going to continue to hear more of them, I want you guys to be a little bit more empathetic to these people. These are real human beings that are entertaining you up on the stage. They're going in the studio. Now, I will challenge them to make better music, right? because we're going to get into the next phase of this video talking about why the music of today isn't working as well. Let's get into the top 50 songs ever streamed on Spotify, right? Number 1, Post Malone, 21 Savage, Rockstar. Number 2, Drake, God's Plan. Number 3, XXX Tentacion, Sad. Number 4, Travis Scott, Goosebumps. Number 5, XXX Tentacion, Jocelyn Flores. Number 6, Lil Uzi Vert, EXO Tour Life. Number 7, Kendrick Lamar, Humble. Number 8, Travis Scott, Sicko Mode. 9, Post Malone, Quavo, Congratulations. Number 10, Lose Yourself, Eminem on the 8 Mile soundtrack. Number 11, No Role Models, J. Cole. 12, Unforgettable, French Montana. 13, Moonlight, XXX Tentacion. 14, Eminem, Nate Dogg, Till I Collapse. Number 15, Roddy Ricch, The Box. Number 16, Without Me, Eminem. 17, The Baby. We just keep going. All these songs are a minimum of 5, 7 years old. For some reason, all of these big hits, all of these big music videos, none of this stuff is eclipsing these older records. Then you have old ass music from Eminem back in 2005 that's on here. Most of these records are coming from a place of emotion. Most of these records are kind of talking about sadness. I mean, XXX Tentacion, the song's called Sad. EXO Tour Life, we remember what that was about. They're tapping into people's emotions in a way that the new music just isn't. Everybody's talking about smashing each other chick. Everybody's talking about getting high as they possibly can, but no rhyme or reason behind it. The pain is not there. And I'm not saying you should make music from a place of pain, but you still should be able to tap into your emotions. Congratulations, Post Malone. Everybody plays that at their graduation and shit. Be happy for themselves, right? Genuinely happy. That's something that hip hop seems to shun. People that come across happy, people that come across with a smile, people that come across that ain't trying to shoot them up, bang, bang, that ain't selling all the damn fucking kilos in the world on wax. People act like they corny. Eminem, Lose Yourself is about having one shot. What are you gonna do with it? If everything that you ever wanted in your life came to a head and this was your one shot to obtain it, what are you gonna do with it, right? Emotion. No Role Models. J. Cole was lamenting about the place that we were in as a society, this place in society that we are still at today. I don't even want to go through the rest of them to get to 50, but the fucking list looks pretty much the same. The same artists. Eminem, XXX, Kanye West, Drake. Artists, y'all need to take note of this. And then you wonder why people aren't showing up to the shows. Because you don't have nothing for them to connect with. Y'all niggas want to party all day. You can't just party throughout the whole show. You got to be able to take people on a roller coaster. The best concerts you'll ever go to, you're going to be able to laugh. You're going to be able to cry. You're going to be able to sing along. You're going to get uncomfortable and have to goddamn bond with the person next to you because this experience is too much. It's information overload. My God, I need to take a moment. Hey, man, what's your name? Oh, man, you cool as fuck, man. We should link up after this. Where y'all going afterwards? Y'all going out to eat? Let's do Waffle House. Fuck it. Where are those experiences coming? After the show, you might want to go get a tattoo of the shit, right? I ain't got no tats, but I know people that do it. Back when DMX was here, that Woodstock crowd had hundreds of thousands of people out that bitch. They knew every word to Slipping. I'm falling. I can't get up. That's not even the biggest song of his career, but they knew that motherfucker front to back. Why is that? Y'all niggas can keep drilling on everybody if you want to. You're going to find yourself without a job. Y'all niggas think that, y'all think this hip hop shit is the best alternative to not working? Your ass gonna be right back at McDonald's. Y'all better get some skill about your craft or you gonna have to find a skill somewhere else. All of this shit ties in. So no, I don't make this video to make fun of Lil Durk and Lil Baby. A lot of people tried to do that on social media. I think there's real rhyme and reason as to why stuff is happening the way it is, the way it's playing out. The reason why hip hop music is not hitting the charts the way it was just 6 to 8 months ago. Because everybody is trying to jump on the same recipe. Everybody's eating off the same plate. But what happens when that plate is depleted? There's nothing else there. Y'all niggas gonna have to eat the plate. Y'all know what happens when you eat a fucking ceramic plate. It's gonna crush all this shit up in here. It's gonna cut your insides. You're gonna fucking die. Which means you either gonna have to adapt and do better or you're gonna face obsolescence. Let me know what y'all think of this down below in the comments. Be sure to like and share this video. I know I said way more than anybody probably bargained for or expected or thought I was gonna talk about in this video. If you're not a true music lover, you didn't make it to the end. But if you really care about this shit, you don't have to be an artist to care about this shit. A lot of us spend hard-earned money to support the artists that we like and love. We're spending time on YouTube. We're spending time on all the streaming platforms. We're consuming these people's music. We want them to be successful. If this is your first time seeing me on YouTube, go ahead and hit the post notification bell, subscribe to the channel. I will see y'all on the next one. If you want more content like this, you're gonna have to support it. I need to see that I get more support for this than I would a viral story, some BS, people bickering back and forth. That content seems to do better. I would love to talk about this type of stuff all day, but you gotta share it, you gotta like it, you gotta comment and engage with me. Let's have some real conversations over here, all right? Much love, respect, y'all. Peace.